this bear was actually a soldier. But how? You see, it was 1942, and the 22nd Polish Artillery Company were passing through the mountains of Iran, on their way to the front lines to fight the Nazis. While passing through a town on their way, they were stopped by a young Iranian shepherd, looking to trade with them for rations and a Swiss army knife. When the Poles asked what he had to offer in return, the young shepherd produced a burlap sack containing an orphaned Syrian brown bear cub. You see, this bear's mother was shot by hunters, which is how he ended up in a low-tech Pokeball being offered as a trade deal. The Polish looked at the bear and, clearly seeing the potential for insane dad lore, said, "Damn good deal." And in the most worthwhile trade deal in history, parted ways with their supplies in exchange for a f***ing Pokemon, adopting him into their ranks and naming him Wojtek. And the 22nd immediately set about raising this little man as a proper bear and soldier. Maggots! As a baby, they would feed him condensed milk out of an empty vodka bottle, as well as feeding him on the cartoon bear diet consisting of fruit, honey, and marmalade. They also appointed a soldier as his caretaker, who wasted no time in showing Wojtek how to fit in with the rest of the army, teaching Yogi's little cousin to wave, salute, and even march. While not undergoing rigorous military training, Wojtek would hang out with the soldiers. He drank coffee with them in the morning, trained with them in the day, and when they all got shit-faced in the evening, he would f***ing wrestle with them. Do you know how much a brown bear has to love you to wrestle you? On top of double rations, they would also feed Wojtek treats in the form of beer and cigarettes. They let the bear have smoko. Eventually, Army High Command heard about this and were having absolutely f***ing none of it. You see, pets were not allowed in the army, which meant Wojtek had to go. Or did he? Because the 22nd Artillery Company officially enlisted him.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
I'm doing my part.
Wojtek was given a serial number and granted the rank of private, so when confronted about the very conspicuous bear in their ranks, they simply went, "That's not a bear, that's Private Wojtek." And Wojtek took his new role very seriously, as during the Battle of Monte Cassino in 1944, Wojtek began using his bulk to transport artillery shells and ammo to soldiers engaged in combat. They had a fucking resupply bear. For his bravery, he was promoted to the rank of corporal, and the 22nd changed their insignia to a bear carrying an artillery shell. This absolute unit smoked, drank, and dropped artillery on the Nazis. Based. Australia has a lot of spiders, but recently we found a new one, because of course we fucking did. And the new one is the most certified Australia moment I've ever seen. For a bit of context, one of the several thousand spider species we are home to is the Sydney funnel web, the deadliest spider on the planet. Because of course it's down here. Where the fuck else did you think you were going to find it? These scary looking fuckers are highly venomous and can flatline you with a bite in 15 minutes. And if you think wearing thick clothes will save you, be aware the bastards have fangs long enough to punch through shoe leather. Now, why do I bring these little nightmares up? What is the one thing worse than a spider rocking armor-piercing rounds that can send you to heaven with same-day delivery? A bigger spider rocking the same perk setup. That's right, Australian scientists have found a brand new species of this funnel web that is even bigger. How much bigger? Well, the standard Sydney funnel web grows to around 5 centimetres or 2 inches. And I mean, if you're asking me, 2 inches is more than enough. 2 inches is actually fucking huge. By comparison, this is the new one. It's twice the fucking size, cunt! 4 inches of 8-legged menace to the animal kingdom. But that isn't even the best part. You see, do you know what they named this thing? Do you know what professional scientists named a supersized version of the most dangerous spider on the entire fucking planet? The Newcastle Big Boy. Deadliest spider on the entire fucking globe. Big Boy. Only in Australia. A lot of people are scared of snakes. But have you ever wondered what snakes are scared of? The answer is this fucking bird. Introducing the secretary bird, native to the continent of Africa, and a prime example that being a hater pays off. Coming in at 1.3 metres tall and 4.27 kilos in weight, this lanky turkey has been purpose-built, nay, expertly fucking engineered by the gods themselves with the sole purpose of violating the ever-loving out of any garden hose that so much as looks at it the wrong way. You see, these bad boys are birds of prey, but unlike their cousins in the same category, they are primarily terrestrial, which means they spend most of their time on the ground. This is because their preference for diet is sentient slithering sausages. However, with this thing being endemic to Africa, their preferred meal also just happens to include some of the deadliest predators on the fucking planet. Does this stop the secretary bird? No, mate. Despite having no natural venom resistance, these absolute fucking gigachads will eat cobras, boomslangs, and black mambas without breaking a sweat. But how do they hunt these things without getting bitten? Simple. They just kick the fuck out of them.
Are you okay, Snake? Snake?
You see, those long-ass legs aren't just for show, as a secretary bird is capable of accurately curb stomping a snake's head into the ground with a force equal to 5 times their fucking body weight. So when a secretary bird fancies a bite to eat, they start out by stomping the ground around dense vegetation. This causes snakes in the area to poke their heads out of their houses to see what the f*** is going on. The snake then looks up in horror as the secretary bird locks onto him, sprints over at Mach 9, and then...
1A! 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 1A!
This shrimp has a gun! No, this isn't a Fortnite skin. This is a real f***ing animal, and it's called the pistol shrimp. Now, unsurprisingly, being named after a firearm, of course it's f***ing native to the United States of America. Where the f*** else do you think you were going to find it? However, they can actually be found expressing their Second Amendment rights over the majority of the globe too. Now, coming in at a huge 2 inches, it is not the size of his body that makes him special, but the caliber of the big iron on his hip. Or should I say big claw? You see, that oversized right pincher isn't just because he forgot to, switch hands while doing homework. Gary! No, mate, that claw is basically fucking Mega Man's arm cannon. But last I checked, they can't call in an ammo resupply under the sea. So how does the claw become a gun? The answer is bubble. You see, these bad boys hunt smaller shrimp, and they start that hunt by jumping off the f***ing battle bus and looking for prey. Once they get within effective range, they will literally cock their claw like the hammer on a revolver. Weapon ready, they line up the shot, take aim, and...
Counter-terrorists win.
They snap their claws together so f***ing fast, it causes an underwater vacuum, creating an explosive cavitation bubble hotter than the surface of the sun. This bubble is then launched at the enemy at over 100k an hour. The bubble then connects with the smaller shrimp and f***ing flashbangs it. This either kills it outright or stuns it long enough to be consumed. Poor little fucker got quickscoped by Faye Shrimp. This jellyfish is basically a time bomb. Introducing the Irukandji, a species of jellyfish native to the northern waters of the land down under, and possibly my least favourite animal in the entire ocean, because it is just a massive, spiteful cunt. Well, massive is misleading, as this little guy is tiny. I mean, ridiculously small, being not much bigger than your fingernail at the head and basically completely f***ing invisible to the naked eye. This is a fairly major problem, because behind that halo cloak frame they are dragging 3-foot long tentacles and shocking absolutely no one.
Say the line, Bart!
It is one of the most venomous jellyfish in the ocean. Yeah! I'm so f***ing tired of the stealth poison multiclasses on OCE servers, dude. This shit is broken. You see, those 3-foot tentacles are covered with tiny little barbs, and at the barest touch, they will literally propel themselves into your skin like a bullet and inject you with the Australia Special, a pina colada cocktail of various neurotoxins. And upon being injected, you will feel absolutely f***ing nothing. You'll keep swimming around, splashing about in the water, kissing the homies, until you are overcome with a sudden, severe feeling of impending dread. I mean the kind of dread that will have you hysterically screaming that you are about to die.
I am gonna die! I'm gonna die! I'm gonna f***ing die!
That's because the invisible cunt here does psychic damage, inflicting a condition known as Irukandji syndrome, which starts with a feeling of impending doom so strong there are records of people asking to be, avoiding a ban here, forcibly disconnected from God's Minecraft server. And that feeling of doom is warranted because about 30 minutes after being stung, that biological bomb goes off, with the venom initially causing extreme pain throughout your entire body. And after making you feel like a failed isekai protagonist, the venom then spikes your blood pressure and heart rate through the roof, which can cause heart attacks, blood clots, and has even been recorded to cause brain hemorrhages.
And the f***ed up part is, it doesn't have an anti-venom.
This thing sneak attacks you, waits 30 minutes, sends you a private DM telling you it got your ass, and there is not a f***ing thing you can do about it. Toxic little shit. Okay, so, as the Aussie animal guy, I feel like I might owe you an explanation for this one. That is a normal fucking Roo. No, he is not Roosus Christ, he's not the second coming, and he's not gonna turn your water into wine. Alright, he might turn it into VB if you ask nice.
Get that up, yeah.
But if that's the case, how the fuck is he stealing the Son of God's passive? Well, the answer is fucking sand.
I don't like sand.
Yeah, you see, what's far more likely than a Roo being enchanted with water walking is that he's actually running on a sandbar. That is basically just a fancy description for ocean currents piling up a shitload of sand into one place, creating an offshore segment of the water that's not much deeper than a fucking kid's pool. Now, Roos know about sandbars, and they actually very frequently use them as a shortcut to get from A to B to find more food. So, while it looks like Skippy here is stealing Jesus' entire fucking flow, he's actually on a Macca's mish.
Let me get a...
This isn't a spider. It's a snake. Introducing the Iranian spider-tailed horned viper, as the name suggests, native to Iran, and you are all probably wondering why the f*** this snake has decided to attach a cosplay of the average Australian resident to his tail. The answer is food. You see, every known snake species is a predator. Some eat Bambi, others eat Remy, and the spider tail, not unlike myself, absolutely fucking loves KFC. However, birds famously tend to fly, and last I checked, nope, ropes don't have wings. So, how does this viper get his zinger box? The answer is, again, food. You see, birds eat insects, and the spider tail knows this. So, rather than trying to chase his prey down, this lazy fucker has evolved the evolutionary equivalent of DoorDash. You see, when a viper feels like a meal, it'll start the hunt by finding a nice rocky outcrop to curl up on like a couch. And due to the camouflage on his scales, this snake becomes practically invisible. Once he's nice and cozy, he begins to slowly wiggle his tail back and forth in front of his face, perfectly mimicking the motion of an insect. Think of this as him placing his Uber Eats order. Meanwhile, up in the air, our undercooked chicken tender is flying around when, holy shit, a free meal! What a delectable bug just sitting there on that rock. And so, Tweety Birdie swoops down to grab himself an insect Happy Meal. And just as he's about to reach his meal, Australia just found a new shark. And of course, being from the land down under, it's fucking weird. Introducing the brand new Western Australian lantern shark. As the name suggests, discovered by a team of scientists off the coast of Western Australia. Now, as with the overwhelming majority of weird shit in the ocean, the Ozempic shark here is found in the deep sea, sharing a postcode with the anglerfish, that one xenomorph shark, and now, despite the word shark making most people think of something a little closer in size to, I don't know, Bruce, Slenderman's fish sonar over here only grows up to 30 centimeters. This little guy shares a weight class with a fucking foot long. But I mean, honestly, I still personally think 30 centimeters is way too big. He could be just as good as the other sharks if he was, let's just say 3 inches. However, other than being built like a fishy USB cable and owning a property in rock bottom, what makes him so weird? Simple. He fucking glows.
Throwing flashbang.
But fucking why? Well, you see, these bad boys are found in the twilight zone of the ocean, around 1.2 kilometers below the surface. A place so fucking far down, it sees less sunlight than the inside of a Gacha addict's room. And so, lantern sharks evolved bioluminescence on their gills and fins in order to fucking communicate with one another. The glow is the evolutionary equivalent of a fucking indicator, showing that a literal abyss shark is more intelligent than your average BMW driver. Dolphins get drunk. But why? Well, you see, the dolphin is by far and away the smartest animal in the ocean. In fact, they're actually the second smartest thing on the planet, just behind you and me. This means they are smart enough to understand that the ideal way to spend your night is more plastered than Chad and Max on your average Cold Ones episode. Shut up! There is just one problem. Last I checked, there's no bottle-o in Bikini Bottom. So, how does a dolphin get fired for all? Simple. They abuse pufferfish. You see, due to the lack of underwater alcohol, dolphins need to find other ways to get their fix, which is where SpongeBob's driving instructor comes in. You see, pufferfish contain this really cool and totally not dangerous substance called tetrodotoxin. What is tetrodotoxin? It's only one of the most potent natural neurotoxins on the fucking planet. This shit will freeze your heart and lungs in under an hour with a tiny dose. And it's the reason why cooking a pufferfish requires a dexterity check so you don't, hit the poison gland and get yourself deleted. Now, puffers carry this as a defense mechanism as poison accumulates in their organs and skin. Why is that important? Well, you see, I kinda lied. Dolphins don't get drunk. They get high on neurotoxin.
¿Quieres?
Pods of dolphins will bully pufferfish until they inflate, then partake in a literal puff-puff pass. By lightly squeezing the puffer in their mouth, they receive a small dose of neurotoxin, which has a narcotic effect, allowing Flipper here to trip balls before passing the unhappy basketball onto the next submarine stoner. Flipper and friends saw the deadliest neurotoxin on the planet
and said, "Fuck it, let me try some of that."
This bird is a vampire. Introducing the vampire groundfinch, native to the Galapagos Islands, and a great example of the horrifying affronts to the universe that evolution can produce when it decides to do a little trolling. Now you see, at first glance, this is the most boring vampire you can possibly imagine. Coming in at a measly 12 centimeters and a mere 20 grams in weight.
Ooh, that's kind of small.
Rocking a feather pattern I can best describe as a Minecraft dirt block, and as it turns out, the bastards that wrote Twilight lied to me because it doesn't even fucking sparkle.
This is the skin of the killer bell.
So if it's missing fangs, angst, a cape, and the funny accent,
You must bounce on it.
how does it qualify as a vampire? Simple. Drinks a shitload of blood. You see, most birds eat seeds and insects, and while the vampire finch can eat those too, there is a problem. They live on an island, and that island is very small. In fact, they're only found on 2 of the Galapagos Islands, and small islands means a far smaller amount of that food to go around.
To the point where these finches can't rely on it as their sole source.
Which for a bird usually isn't a problem, because, you know, they don't need a plane ticket to just f*** off and fly somewhere. However, as the name suggests, the vampire ground finch can't fly for shit. So, how do they get their food? They suck it out of someone that can. This, don't laugh, is the Nazca booby. Hey, stop giggling back there. Another species of bird native to the islands. They are very strong flyers that feed on fish. They also nest on the islands, which is where our feathery Nosferatu comes to play. You see, when the boobies, stop giggling, come to roost, the vampire finch will sneak over and hop onto their back. Then, using their razor-sharp beak, they will poke a very small, borderline painless hole into one of the bird's flight feathers. Once the blood is flowing freely, the vampire finch gorge themselves on it. See, as it turns out, blood is macro-friendly. And considering these things are living creatures, they just make more blood. In essence, giving the vampire finch an infinite food source. In fact, they can get so much blood from these birds, it is not uncommon to see multiple finches sucking from the same booby. I'm sorry, I can't say that shit without cracking up. Aussie farmers thought they were being attacked by aliens. But what was actually causing it is so much funnier. This is a wallaby, the kangaroo's vertically challenged little cousin. Now, to get a little more specific, this is a Bennett's wallaby, native to my home state of Tasmania. And that location is very important to the story. Tassie is home to a lot of things. Beautiful views, a seal with a felony record, and the nut. However, one thing they tend to leave off the tourism brochures is drugs. Tasmania is the world's largest exporter of legal opium, the main ingredient in opioid painkillers like morphine, with this one tiny island producing 50% of global supply. Now, opium comes from poppy milk, and to get poppy milk, you need to milk poppies. And to produce that 50% of global supply, Tasmanian farmers grow huge fields of these things across the north of the state. However, because throwing these flowers into a crafting table gives you f***ing narcotics, these fields are legally required to be under extremely tight security. Which is why these same poppy farmers became extremely confused when f***ing crop circles showed up in the plant equivalent of a f***ing Town Hall 9 Clash of Clans base. They were understandably absolutely f***ing bewildered by this, and some people even thought it was aliens. So to figure out whether or not it was a Halo Elite drawing this shit, they set up some cameras. And what they saw was this little shit. breaking into the field, eating the milk-filled buds, getting absolutely f***eyed, and then hopping in circles until he passed the f*** out. They thought the f***ing Covenant were invading, and it was a drink-driving wallaby. Australia just found a new insect.
Who's that Pokemon?
And in a certified Australia moment, it is unironically called the f***ing Lucifer bee. Because of course we have the Satan bee. The snakes and the spiders and the f***ing dinosaurs weren't enough. No. Now I gotta dodge a rejected doom enemy on my walk to work. Discovered in the closest climate to hell on Earth, Western Australia, these bad boys were named after the Lord of Hell for two reasons. The first of which being the giant fucking demon horns bolted to their heads. Now, those horns aren't just there to look scary. They're actually a defensive mechanism to protect the demon bees from bigger predators. However, only the ladies of the species stay strapped, as the horns are only found on females. Meaning a more accurate name for these absolute girl bosses is the Karlak bee. But a pair of spirit Halloween horns can't be the only reason they're named after the devil, right? I mean, there's gotta be f***ing something else. Like, do they spit fire? Maybe they've got a pitchfork for a stinger that injects you with f***ing acid venom. The answer to that is, no, it's a normal f***ing honeybee. The actual reason is that lead researcher, Dr. Kit Prendergast, was watching the f***ing Netflix show.
Biggest cock I've ever seen.
And this isn't even the first time she's done something like this. She named another species after her pet dog. F***ing based. That isn't a tree. It's a f***ing bird! Introducing the tawny frogmouth, a species of bird found in the land down under, and Australia's very own avian equivalent of a maxed out Skyrim stealth build. Now you may be thinking to yourself, well, it can't be that stealthy, I can see it. Yeah, you can see that one. Did you see the one right f***ing next to it? Now, the important question is, why the f*** do these things have predator camo? Well, there's two reasons. First of all being, it's f***ing Australia. You see, these bad boys are primarily nocturnal, staying on the move during the night and dive bombing unaware insects to meet their bulking goals. However, that means that during the day, they sleep. And in a country where at any point you can be bitten, mauled, stung, or f***ing drop-kicked to death, laying down in the wrong spot can turn a short nap into the forever sleep. So, in order to prevent themselves from becoming an item on a snake's KFC order, these tactical chickens evolved the ghillie suit to basically allow them to f***ing disappear. Being practically invisible allows them to unlock their second passive, f***ing DoorDash. You see, these guys are so f***ing good at cosplaying a stick that not only do predators mistake them for Groot, but so does their prey. And so, whenever they take a nap, they just leave their mouths open a little bit. And whenever some poor ant just tries to walk his way to work, he instead DoorDashes himself directly into its f***ing mouth.